Hey guys, so today Dr. Kim and I are going to be discussing some recently asked questions. The first question is advice for new parents. The dynamic shift in marriage when you become parents. Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, it is a dynamic shift. And,
Yeah.
I can just remember it. And it was great. We were ready. We waited 5 years before we had our first child. And I can remember we just kind of sat around and looked at him for a while. But I think you realize that, it does change. I think we went out probably 3 or 4 weeks after Grant was born, maybe longer than that. Nancy, it took her a long time. So maybe it was 3 months, whatever it was. And we had a babysitter for the first time. And we stayed out later than we usually do. And then when the baby cries at like 5 o'clock, it's like, oh, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
We got to get on his schedule. So
Yeah.
I think so. The shift, I think, is that you've got to continue to be focused on the marriage. That was one of the things we did. We had a babysitter set up for every Saturday night from the time Grant was whatever time it was, how weeks old or months old he was, all the time. And because it was important, it let if we had busy weeks or with the kids, it let Nancy know we're going to have time together. And so we kept that in. So I think what you want to do is make sure you're doing the things that were good for your marriage. You may not have as much time to do them, but make sure you're doing them. Talking every day, going on date nights. And then I think, taking a getaway trip. And I know that's hard when you've got a new baby. The first time we left Grant, it was really hard for Nancy, but we did for a couple nights. And he survived. It was amazing. He was still alive when we got back.
Yeah, of course. So what if one of the spouses is just not wanting to really do anything? They're just so tired from having the baby. They just don't really have any energy and their effort just isn't there. What do you recommend doing then?
I think it just realize it's a season, and some people it affects different ways, and you don't want to compare it to your friend's wife or your those kind of things because everybody's just a little bit different. And so, just realize it's a season, and I think if we can do that, then it's okay. It's going to get better. Our child will start sleeping all the way through the night. My wife will be able to get more naps. She'll be able to sleep better, and just accept the fact that, and don't get all upset about it. It doesn't. It goes quickly. You may not think so when you're in the middle of it, but in the big picture, it goes pretty quick.
It goes by fast. So a lot of patience and grace. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
And then, so what is your advice for the first 3 years of marriage?
Well, if you don't have kids, which is,
Mhm.
I think it's spending as much time, get some good habits in place for when you do have kids, like your daily communication and enjoy things. Do some things then that you may not know that, well, when we have kids, we're not going to be able to do this kind of trip for a while or this kind of thing. And so enjoy those things, but really just work on connecting to building strength, to talking about how you're going to parent, talk about some things so you're kind of ready when that happens. But really, I think the more you can get to know each other, spend time together, and enjoy each other, have fun together before you have kids, really lays a good foundation. And I think for you to make it once the kids come.
This is kind of a random question, but kind of like premarital counseling, obviously you recommend doing it. So you have those discussions before you get married. You can deal with those conflicts before you get married. Do you think having a baby is similar? Do you think you need to have those kind of like difficult decisions before you have a kid versus after having a kid?
I think the more, anytime we can get on the same page ahead of time with things. And so maybe you find a good parenting book or talk to someone who maybe is an expert in that area. And then you guys can process this through so that, you want to be on the same page with your kids. And you won't, you won't think of everything, but in general, knowing we're going to parent together. If we disagree on something, we're going to go work it out together and then come back and present a united front to our child. Who's going to kind of do what. And just the more you can have that in place, then when it comes, you can make some adjustments pretty easy, usually, I think.
Yeah, that's good. So, what does success in marriage look like to you?
Oh, great question. Being connected, I guess, and in just in all ways. Obviously, the physical covers the sexual relationship, the emotional, the spiritual, and then and mentally, that you challenge each other, so I think if you're connected in all those ways and putting God first, then that's going to be a successful marriage. I mean, you're doing all the things that God asks us to do, and it's to connect for that person to be um, your partner for the rest of your life.
Do you think that the definition of success can change kind of like in the season of your life or like how long you've been married? Or do you think that it's always kind of the same?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it might play out a little bit different, what it looks like.
Yeah.
I think early in marriage, our success was that, we were working through some things and we were not giving up. And so, as we were putting some of the things we talk about a lot now in place, and then as we got those things in place, that was successful as we reached different levels, or we were able to realize, okay, we can fight better this way than that way, those kind of things. So I think that definitely can kind of change some. And I think too, you mentioning that, keep it appropriate. If you're early married, don't expect to be like, somebody's parents that you see that have a great marriage, have been married 40 years. No, it took them a while to get there. When they were just married a couple of years, they were probably about in the same boat you are. We all kind of grow together.
Yeah.
And so, especially if it's first marriage and you're young, you have when you get married, those things.
Yeah. Got a lot to learn.
We have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
It's fun though. I mean, it's fun.
It is. It's fun. It's hard. It's just growing together.
It is.
So this is a direct quote.
Okay.
We have 2 young children. How do you stay connected as a couple on a family vacation?
I think a couple things I have on that. One, I think family vacations are great. I think you want to also have a vacation or a getaway of something for the two of you during the year too, where the kids aren't there. Because then when you're with the kids, I mean, I think I was talking to somebody not too long ago. They've been on this family vacation and they went to this place, but they wanted some time just for the two of them. Well, they never got that. And the expectation was probably unrealistic to think with their 3 kids, the ages they were, that they were going somewhere and they were going to have some romantic times. I said, you got to do that different and then plan for the family vacation. And as our kids got older, we let them, when they were young, we just took them on trips and they loved it. We planned everything. As they got older, we would kind of let them give some input. We're going here. Is there something you would especially like to do while we're there, and let them have part of it? But I think the staying connected as a family is just maybe set the ground rules ahead of time. This is a family vacation. I know it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to try to have fun. We're going to enjoy each other. We're not going to talk about problems. We're just going to go and explore, do something we haven't done together. And we're going to do it as a family and get everybody kind of on the same page with it. And then maybe even have a buzzword that you use, like at a family, they use the word, I can't remember what it was. Say you used chicken or whatever. And so if somebody said chicken, that means that somebody's acting up a little bit. And that's kind of the signal without calling somebody out of, hey, let's get back to the agreement we made before we left on how to do this vacation well.
I love that. That's good. Okay. And then the last question, and it's also a direct quote. I was wondering if you and your wife have any advice for those stuck in abusive marriages / family dynamics. I know many people struggling to get out or know what to do. This could include mental abuse, emotional lying, violent outbursts, etc.
Yeah, you've got to get safe.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing of all, there's just we've got a podcast coming up with David Clark, and he works in a lot of those situations, and that's what he would say. You've got to separate. You've got to be safe. Then you can see if you can work on the marriage. Then you can see if either one of you needs to work individually on things. But if you're in that kind of a situation, and it could be abusive, whether it's mental, or physical, or whatever it is, then you got to get safe. And so if you are, most cities have shelters or places that you can go, find out, and then make your plans and go somewhere.
Yeah.
And then hopefully your spouse will say, I want to work on the marriage. And then you can, whatever steps, the counselor would take you from there.
Yeah. Well, that is unfortunately all the time that we have for today. If you guys have any more questions, though, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below, and Dr. Kim and I will get to them next week. And I hope that you guys have a great week. Thank you so much.